I've never actually had a games console in my life. I've just never got into it, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of us do. We've got a Nintendo in the house, and often after a night out we all go back and play a couple of hours.
As long as video games have been available to the public, they have been regarded as boys' toys, with little or no interest from most females. Now, as it is the world's fastest growing industry, we explore why leading developers have yet to gain an understanding of the female gamer.
I've attempted quite badly to play some games. I don't know what they're called, but I've tried it. I'm not very good at it.
Lara Croft is not really a character that I particularly want to play. I find her more of a man's character.
Girls aren't as competitive as boys. It's probably got something to do with that. A lot of games are beat 'em ups and I love them. So I think if they just got playing them, they'd like it more. Mario Kart is such a popular game in my house now. We play it almost every day. They don't like GoldenEye so much, but...
What games do you play?
Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, all sort of role-playing, thinking games. And they're a bit more challenging, the characters are interesting, the storylines are quite involving, they're enjoyable.
A lot of the girls I know do play games, and a lot of guys I know don't, so...
Insert toy to play.
We went to Sony HQ in London to speak to David Wilson about the alleged gender bias within the industry.
I'd say there is a gender bias. I don't know if it's necessarily the industry or the products that we make that are biased. I think it exists in the marketplace. Why? Is it because the industry's not making the right sort of games? Is it because girls aren't interested beyond a certain age? I don't know. I don't think we'd ever kind of deliberately set out to sort of patronise girls by making stereotypical games. But by the same token, if we can make things that appeal to both genders, then that's a great thing. Our core audience, the sort of hardcore gamers who evangelise how brilliant gaming is, they don't want things that are kind of mass market. They want things that are more male-oriented, more kind of action-based. But also, the fact that we're conscientiously trying, now that we've achieved a certain level of market penetration, we're now trying to deliberately make products that have more universal appeal. Smaller companies who are making these games have to sort of make games that are profitable to survive, and they have to make games that appeal to their largest audience. So there's a degree of kind of self-perpetuation. So it doesn't really behove the smaller publishers, I suppose. It's not in their commercial interest to make games that appeal to females, unless they think they can crack that market and they can bring in, a whole new audience who will buy the product. But I mean, I think that, as I say, I think there's still a good split when you have younger male, females. There's a good split between them. I think it's when kids get older and whatever, adolescence, then that's when the girls start dropping out. My partner would suggest it's because girls are far less boring than boys and they have more diverse interests, but I would clearly contest that.
We asked two typical men about their views on female gamers.
It's like a boys thing, isn't it? I don't think games are like targeted towards girls in any way. Anyway, I think they're mostly targeted to boys, and they put makeup on and stuff, and we play computer games. And if a girl played this, she'd be like, "What team am I? Which way do I go?" It's like, shut up.
Yeah, but some
end up getting really frustrated.
I'm sure there must be some girl who plays PS3 who actually knows how to play it. Well, it's not one of the things I'd chat up a girl asking her, do you play PS3? Excuse me, love, do you play PS3? Right.
And like, if you play PS3 and like got really sort of like, fucking hell, she beat me, and like you might want to dump her because she's like better at PS3, so you get really pissed off.
When one looks at gaming magazines, advertisements and websites, one finds a similar picture. Women are both objectified and portrayed as existing for male pleasure, and effectively ignored and excluded as participants. We spoke to Elspeth to obtain an objective view on the issue.
ELSPA is a trade association, and we represent our members who are the publishers of video games and also the format holders, so the console manufacturers. And we represent them in a number of ways. We used to do the age rating scheme for the industry, and we also carry out large chunks of research for the industry. We produce typically an annual report that looks at statistics on the industry, looks at install bases, software tie ratios, so how many games there are in a household that has a console. Of the top 10 games for girls, only 3 games also appeared in the top 25 for boys. So whilst there were some real similarities and some surprises like FIFA, there were also some big differences. There was a great game that I played called Broken Sword, The Sleeping Dragon. And I only knew that that was a good game because I went to a demo and it was on one of the pods, and I played it and I loved it, and so I bought it. It has a rubbish name for a girl. Why would I want to play a game called Broken Sword? It's broken. It just doesn't appeal to me at all, and it's got none of it. It just says nothing about the game or what the adventure might be like. So even though the advertising placement might be in the right places for girls, which I'm not sure it is, the titles of the games are all wrong to make that work for women. There was a lot of discussion in the industry when the Game Boy Advance SP came out, and a lot of commentary on the marketing, which was seen by some to be a little bit antagonistic towards women. There was the shot of a man lying in bed and playing with the Game Boy rather than relating to his girlfriend, let's say. We also have a challenge that female-oriented publications, so magazines like Cosmopolitan and Marie Claire, are not really that interested in video games at the moment. They see it, as I describe it, as boys' toys. So until they start to perceive there being a market for girls, they're not going to write editorial about games. And if they're not writing editorial about it, the publishers aren't going to advertise in those magazines.
It's a common misconception that females are technophobes, as the Elspeth study shows that the one bit of technology they can't go without is their mobile phone.
I think it is true that girls of a certain age lose interest in games, and I think it's something to do with the way that boys and girls develop differently. And at some point, girls get very interested in socialising and in chatting with their girlfriends and in talking about their experiences, and that becomes the kind of fundamental activity of a girl. Playing a game is quite a solitary experience often, and it's certainly not about communicating and sharing experience. It's about, if it's about doing something together, it's about doing an activity rather than a communication. And I think that is the fundamental change that takes place.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of a holy grail it is. Clearly, if we could make something, if we could evangelise the joys of gaming to a larger female demographic, of course it makes commercial sense to us. It might make socially responsible sense, and obviously it would make financial sense. But how we kind of do that without alienating the core audience, you know, that's quite an important factor for us as well. It's a challenge.
I think it's difficult to predict whether there will be ever be a big market for games for girls, but if publishers continue to just do Barbie riding games, then there won't be a European market for girls.
to my eyes. Papa said we have to be wise to live long lives. Now I recognize what my father said before he dies. Vocalize things I've left unsaid. Left my spirit unfed for too long. I'm coming home to my family where I can be strong, be who I plan to be. Within me, my ancestry.